For robberies, we averaged somewhere between 12 and 13 robberies in general over the last 20 years, and last year we had assaults were close to, between 20 and 21, we ended up with 9. Burglaries were close to 40 burglaries per year, we ended up with 26 this last year. Theft numbers, even though it was one of the categories that did increase from the prior year, if you look at the 20-year average, we're talking about almost 300, a little bit over 300 thefts a year compared to the 207 that we did. So again, looking at the bigger time period, trending wise, we're doing better, or we did better this last year than we did over the last 20 years as far as an average goes.
How many auto thefts are hot wiring the car versus keys?
Versus keys, give me 1 second. I do actually have
Is
this.
there,
I just.
They don't hot wire it.
That's from his old days.
They just either have they'll either have a consistent key. They'll
hot
get
wire key?
basically a hot wire key, or they punch the lock, but they don't. They're not doing the wires anymore.
Of all the motor vehicle thefts
Unless
that we
you
had
own a
this
car
last
that's
year,
not old.
38% of them were
That's
done where the
correct.
keys were obtained in the theft. The remaining portion were without the keys.
Okay,
So they kind of put that in perspective there.
that's interesting.
Motor vehicles, like we had that string month or so ago where 10 cars were broken into off of Downer and Capitol.
Yeah.
Is that considered a theft or something to do with an auto theft?
It's considered a theft from a vehicle. The motor vehicle theft is the actual taking of the actual motor vehicle and taking it away.
Okay, so those 10 would be considered thefts.
Yeah, if you had somebody come along and, like, say, break the window or enter the vehicle and remove items from the vehicle, it's a theft from the vehicle. So, again, we tend to look at historical trends, not just the last couple of years. We did a little bit more with some of the areas of the topics that were higher interest out of the categories that we had here, particularly burglary. And we went back to the 1980s. And we got this information here from the Uniform Crime Reports that were submitted to the FBI right through their website. And if you look at where we were in the 80s, you see some extremely high numbers for burglaries, highlighting some of these. 1981, 174, 170 in 1988. As you move into the 90s, you get to 152 in 1990, 132 in 1991. Following that across properly. But what you see is that as you move into the 90s and you move the early 90s and mid 90s, but as you move further down into the 2000s, that those lines that you see that represent the overall number for the year, those lines are getting shorter in most cases. And when I first saw the numbers, I looked at them like, wow, that's pretty high. I don't know, how can that be? And so to look to see, are those 100% accurate? Are those truthful numbers? We really dug into them, and yeah, that's what we had. That's what was reported to the FBI. And started wondering, what was some of the reasons why that was so high back then, and why it's not as high today. So if you move to the next slide here, what we came across was some information that was put out by the New York Times back in 1997. And I'm not saying that this is 100% the reason why we are where we are as far as burglary rate goes compared to where we were in the 90s, but they had some pretty interesting information in there, and that they talked about that not just in the village of Shorewood, but nationwide, burglary rates fell dramatically starting in 1980 as you moved into the mid-80s, the 90s, the mid-90s, and into the 2000s. It has continued to fall. And what they found is that in some instances, some of the rates that were put out there dropped so dramatically that you had more burglaries in New York than you had in London. Or, I'm sorry, more burglaries in London than you had in New York. That you had countries like Netherlands, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, that their crime rates became on par with the United States because of how dramatically burglary rates had fallen. And what they kind of attributed that to were multiple things here. And they talked about how You had greater police tactics, improved police tactics, a decline in teenage population compared to, back in the days of the baby boomers and the next generations on. You talked about greater community involvement, more people in the community getting involved, block watches, more involvement between the police departments and the community. Tougher, longer prison sentences as a deterrent. Greater use of alarm systems was a crucial element. But one thing that they found that was fairly interesting is that at this point in time, in the 80s and 90s, you had a change in street level activity amongst criminals, that a lot of them tend to commit the crimes to feed their drug habits. Their drug of choice changed from heroin to crack cocaine, which crack cocaine is more, it basically gives a higher immediate need to the individual, that they need to have it now, they need to go and get money to get it now. Whereas that type of need didn't necessarily correlate well to burglary, where burglary is more of a slower crime where you have to go and you have to find your target, you have to go in, you have to break in, steal the items, and then try and find somewhere to sell the items to get the money to go and buy the drug that you need. Whereas with a crack cocaine need, that they would go out and they would commit robberies and get the money instantly, rather than going and dealing with stealing items and trying to sell them. So it was a pretty interesting perspective as to why they think that some of the burglary numbers fell so dramatically from the 80s and into today. But going back and looking at the robbery category, going back to 1980, again, if you look at some of those numbers that you see on the screen there, mid-80s, 36 robberies in 1985, 33 in 88. Again, as you move down the chart, back down to 2016, in most cases, those numbers are continuing to go down versus where they were at the top of the chart. If you look at the next one, we'll see motor vehicle thefts, and again, higher numbers in the 80s, and it starts to, again, fall down to where we are now in 2016. And again, all those numbers we got directly from the FBI Uniform Crime Reports. And one of the things that we, as the Shorewood Police Department, what we attributed this to a great part is the community involvement that we have, the interaction that we have with the community, the sharing of information that we have, letting people know of what's going on, the types of trends that are happening in the area of crime within the village, things that people could do to help protect themselves and minimize their chances of becoming a victim. And information sharing has changed in the time, over the last few years here. If you look back just a few years ago, before the advent of the internet and social media, people primarily got informed of criminal activity in the village through newspapers, television, radio, word of mouth. Your next door neighbor told you, you hear what happened down the block, The pro of that is that it raised the criminal awareness, the awareness of criminal activity, which is great. The more people who know stuff that's going on, the more steps people can take to safeguard themselves. And they did it in a way that we couldn't necessarily do as a police department. Some of the cons on that was that the dissemination of that information was somewhat delayed. It didn't happen right away. You usually would read about it in the newspaper maybe the next day, maybe 2 days later. Maybe the news decided they would carry the story because it was high profile enough and worthy of a spot on the half-hour time slot that they had. Part of the con of the word of mouth association or dissemination of information from your neighbors is it's not always accurate. And sometimes it was sensationalized, that they came out with guns blazing, and that wasn't the case, So it was good that the awareness got out, but it wasn't accurate. So then if you move to the next one here, we move into the age of what we've been over the last few years. Which, we try to step up how we get that information out through our village website, through email, and we put information out through our manager's memo. We put out crime prevention tips through our manager's memo. We do some activities on Facebook, getting information out there about different things that are happening. Primarily over the last few years, we've tried to primarily use Nixle, which is, for those who are not aware of it, is a service that you can subscribe to and get information about criminal activity that's taking place in the village. it's not really meant to be a crime blotter where you hear about every instance we're dealing with something. We use it primarily to report the trends that are happening out there. But it's kind of similar to Twitter, if anyone's familiar with that, where basically we send out the information, you get it on your email or on your cell phone and your text message, and with a little link that you can go to and read about what took place, what information we are able to provide about that at this point in time. The pros of that is it increases in awareness again. Information got out more timely. I mean, often we're getting this information out very shortly after an event occurred. We can't always get it out in minutes of it occurring because we're involved in searching the area for suspects, involved in gathering the initial information, securing the scene, securing evidence, stuff like that. So we don't always get it out within 10 minutes of it happening. We try to get it out as fast as we possibly can. And one of the other pros is that you could receive this information anywhere in the world via your mobile devices, your tablets, your cell phones, whatever the case may be. But again, one of the cons was it wasn't a full picture because we don't use it to send out. We had a retail theft at Metro Market or a retail theft over at Sendix tonight. We had no drunk driving arrest over at Oakland and Capitol. We don't use it for that particular purpose. Yes.
Have you seen any change in thefts, retail thefts, that you used to have at Pick and Save and then are now occurring at Metro Market, or are they the same?
As far as total numbers?
Right.
As far as total numbers go, and if you look at between the time period that Metro Market's been open to the end of this last year versus the time period before the old Pick and Save was open, before it closed with that prior year, the numbers are slightly up with the Metro Market, but some of that you have to take into consideration too, that it is a bigger store, it has a better variety of stuff, so it may bring more people in. It's a newer store, so they have newer technology. We often, in the times that we have to interact with them for retail theft situations, it's not one that's occurring right now. It's one that their loss prevention people found while reviewing video from what took place yesterday. And they want to report it so that we have information about the potential suspect, so that if they come back, we can piece together the totality of all of their particular crimes. So, and we're not here to defend Metro Market or anything like that, but just in reality, those are some of the reasons why those numbers are probably higher, and the fact that they do have more loss prevention people working, they do have better technology. Just to be honest with you. So that's where we were as far as information sharing goes within the last few years, and where we are going in the future is crime reports, which is, if you want to go to the next one here, it's an online interactive system where you can sign up for it, go in, and you can see all the stuff that's going on. There's crime mapping, so you can see where the situations are that criminal activity is taking place. The information gets pushed out from our dispatch center right to this here automatically. It updates it automatically. It gives you incident details of what took place, about the crimes and 911 calls. It increases transparency as to, this is what happened over the last 24 hours. We don't have anything that we're going to try to hide from people. These are the numbers, these are the facts. If people want to see what's going on, they have the ability to go in there and they can look at it and see what's happened. It gives you the ability to do some trending analytics. You can look and see if crime is increasing or decreasing. And, you can see if it's increasing in a particular area, decreasing in a particular area. It gives you the ability to be more involved if you want to be. Again, if you have personal video cameras, security cameras at home, if you want to register those with us, and then if there's an active criminal activity that takes place in the other area, we may come and say, hey, do you have any video that happened of what took place 2 days ago at this location? So we can, use that information to help enhance our investigations.
So just real quick on the video part of it. So you register the camera through the crimereports.com website, and nobody else can see that. We can see that from our side. And so what we use that for is if, I think you mentioned it before, there's a crime in a particular area, it may not be your home, maybe down the street. I know I've already talked to somebody that might have a camera that captures an intersection. That would be very valuable to us. We would be able to go onto the website and look at the area of where the crime occurred and see if anybody registered a camera. We would then, the officer would contact you and say, do you want to share that with us? You're not obligated to share it with us, but we're hoping that more cameras that would register, the more ability we'd have to review those cameras. Just recently on the east side, they had a person that was stealing packages, and this person had a home camera, and you see the UPS guy drop off the package, and literally 5 minutes later, you see the individual that apparently that must have been his package, and he was retrieving that. So he, we were able to identify, or want to be able to identify the suspect just on this camera footage. So that was, nice. And so what this crime reports does is that's kind of what, more so than for us, the crime mapping, which we think is important for everybody to see what's going on. But from our end of it, we really would like to garner the video, people to register